What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Q1, and I am back with House of Payne, Season 12, Episode 20. Life is long. Before I start, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Click the notification bell button so you can be updated on every video I drop. Make sure y'all like the videos so I can stay in the algorithm. All right? All right. Okay, so this episode was actually good. This is we haven't seen Calvin kind of really dig in his acting chops since I feel like since he was pop out. I think that was season 9, 8 or 9 or whatever when he was, but I just haven't seen this from Calvin. Okay? We love him. Anyway, so here we go, y'all. The episode started with Calvin and Malik. They returning back from their run. Baby, Malik can't breathe. Okay? I understand. I overstand. Okay? So Malik didn't want to work out in the first place. Okay? So Malik asked Calvin how he liked working from home. Calvin said it's fine, but he's always finding himself contacting Laura in one way or another. Malik tells him, to let it go because I thought y'all broke up, which I think we all did. Calvin is actually having a hard time, but as I stated, I either said this in the shorts or it could have been in these past few previous videos that Calvin has never been alone. And it's odd for a person who has always, if you're a person who has always had somebody, whether you break up with somebody and, constantly find people after a breakup, it is hard. Sometimes I think it's hard for people to just actually sit by themselves. So I encourage everybody, if you are going through a breakup right now, and my heart goes out to you because I know what that feels like, sit with it. My therapist, I'm telling you what my therapist was sharing with me. Sometimes you just got to sit in, and these are the messy parts. It's the hard parts that you have to sit in. So sit in it, deal with it, deal with the hurt, deal with the pain, deal with it, and actually in all of that, get to know you. What you like, what you don't like, what you will tolerate, what you won't tolerate, etc., etc. That was for free. Okay? So Calvin tells Malik, she did leave. Malik points out that Laura has left him another time before. Calvin said, well, I didn't blame her because she found Pookie's dating information on my computer and she thought that it was me. So Malik makes a valid point and asks, how many times does someone get to leave you? Calvin I'm sorry, y'all, I'm spacing. Calvin asked Malik, what should I do? Malik said, you need to take this time to spend with your kids, your family, and yourself. And I've noticed those moments where, I don't know who's the writer for House of Payne, but the very few moments we've seen Calvin with himself, Pookie and Peanut will knock on the door. Or he's interrupted by like somebody is always by, if there is of those few scenes where you see Calvin by himself at his place. Anyway, Calvin admits he's not good at being single, which of course we're here. I've said it, but we're here. Malik tells him, he should have sat down after him and Miranda divorced. Calvin admits he would have, he admits that right after the divorce, he met Laura. I told y'all, I'm just going to say that I just want my rights. I told y'all Calvin needed to sit with Calvin. So over at CJ's and Janine's, Calvin is over there. He asked Jasmine and Janine to help him send a text to Laura. He asked them, he tells them that he texts Laura, and Janine said, women don't want, I'm sorry. Janine said she didn't know, I don't know about any of this. And what are you wanting to accomplish by texting Laura? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? So he said he wanted to take her to dinner. And Janine was like, so you just want a quick hookup? And Jasmine was like, yeah, no, that's wrong. So Calvin said he just wanted to see her. And Janine asked for what? So he said to Janine, I want to talk with Laura. Janine tells him Laura is trying to, just get Calvin out of her system, and that Laura needs to heal. And we, as for women, and she did speak for us women, which is true. When we break ties, we break every tie. A lot of us do. Some don't. But we cut every cord. Okay, even spiritually, there are a lot of us, and I've done it, that is broken spiritual cords. So yeah, it's hard, and it's hard because you have the person. This is what Janine said. I'm just not verbatim. It's difficult when you're trying to get over someone, and you have this person constantly texting or calling or showing up, and they're telling you all the right things. And you have that moment where it takes you right back to where y'all were, but the relationship is still bad. So, yeah, Calvin wanted to see if they can make it work. Janine tells him it didn't work before. What makes you think it's going to work again? So, now, again, we're here. So, over at the Paynes, Jasmine and Janine are helping Ella, jar her sliced peaches. She had plenty of mason jars, and the reason why she did it is so she can have them all year, just in case something happens. So she put the peaches in a jar, set them out in her shed, and they're good for over a year. You just never know. And it does help her with her whenever she make, I think they say peach cobbler, I don't know. So anyway, Jasmine tells Ella that Calvin is trying to get back with Laura. For this episode, Ella didn't say too much. She was just like, Lord. She didn't say too much. So we get back at Calvin's. And at this point, he's still calling and texting Laura, and Laura isn't responding. Curtis stopped by at Calvin's, and I want to point out this was the realest scene between Curtis and Calvin. And we do get really good scenes with Curtis. Most of the time, we just get funny Curtis. But when Curtis literally standing on business, this is what we get. So Curtis stops by to check on Calvin. He asked Calvin how was he doing, and he just wanted to come in and check on him. Calvin keeps saying he's good, and he tells Curtis was like, have you been reaching out to Laura? He said, no, I haven't been reaching out to Laura. And then he admits, yeah, I've been reaching out to Laura. So Curtis was like, well, you need to stop. And so Calvin was like, why? Curtis said, well, Laura and her dad called Curtis to tell Calvin to stop calling her, stop texting her, because she doesn't want to talk to him anymore. She just needs to end all contact. Calvin asked why. He was like, why didn't she just tell me? Curtis tells him Laura said that she moved on, and she wished the family, she wishes the family their best, and she's putting the pains behind her because this situation was very painful for her. So at this point, Calvin is in disbelief, and he's actually interpreting Laura's words as some sort of her insinuating that he's stalking her. And so Curtis was like, son, that's not true. All she's asking you to do is not to call or text her. Do not contact her. That is all she's asking. So Curtis tells him again, leave Laura alone. So at this point, Calvin is feeling away because now his emotions are changing. And now he wants to send his goodbyes. Curtis was like, so what is that? Y'all, my nose itch. Curtis was like, what is that going to fix? Like sending your goodbyes and then what? You're going to upset her. You're already upset. And then you're going to upset Laura. So Curtis was like, I understand. But at this point, you have to let this thing go. And I want to say, Curtis said it. Malik said it. And Janine said it. So back over at Ella's, Janine and Ella are having a conversation about Calvin. Janine said Calvin didn't have an opportunity to sit with himself since that came up again. Since his divorce, she don't believe him. She said she don't believe him and Laura need to be together. Jasmine thinks that he should have stayed with Miranda. However, didn't Miranda leave? Like she wrote him a note. She packed up that little suitcase, and I want to say she left. And I think she was the one who filed for divorce. But I think this is where when Curtis was telling him marriage takes work, I don't think he actually was willing to do the work. And prior to Miranda leaving, there were a lot of things that Calvin did not do as a husband. He just didn't do right. He wasn't a bad person. He just didn't do right. He just couldn't get it together. And I think he was trying, but it just wasn't meshing. And I also want to say Miranda, I feel like Miranda wasn't patient in their marriage as well. Anyway, Calvin tells Curtis, he wanted a traditional family. He wants a wife and kids. Curtis tells him, you will have that again, but it takes work. And you can only put the work in with someone who's actually willing to do the work. And he's letting him know, listen, you're trying to do the work with Laura, but Laura is telling you she's not willing to do the work. Curtis said, I really didn't want to speak on any of this, but Laura is not it. So Calvin tells Curtis, at this point, Calvin is crying. So he tells Curtis he don't think they gave him a fair chance. He don't think that they gave Laura a fair chance. Curtis tells Calvin, he had to remind him that, listen, you and Laura were toxic together. That had nothing to do with us. That was the icing. That situation was just the icing on the cake. He didn't say that, but I'm saying that was just the icing on the cake. So Calvin is saying every couple go through they have their issues. Curtis said they do, but not like that. He tells Calvin when it's right, he will know, he will feel it. He said he will have comfort and he will be at rest. So Calvin was like, were you and Mom at rest when you guys got together? Curtis told him, listen, all the chaos that followed him when he was with the women he were with, it all changed when Ella came into his life. Because y'all know Ella have a seat on Ella has a seat on the right hand next to Jesus. I'm sorry, y'all. I just had to say that because I like Ella. And so anyway, he said once he and Ella got together, he said the noise in his head had stopped. Calvin tells Curtis, Curtis tells Calvin, you're going to build a home for yourself. And God has plans for you. He said, but the plans God has for me is not going to look like the plans that God has for you. I said, you better preach, Curtis. I'm sorry, y'all. So anyway, Calvin asks, he He looked at him, and Curtis was like, "But what you looking at?" He was like, "Did you just talk about God?" He said, "I know about God. I just don't get mushy. Okay, I'm not like Ella. Okay." Okay. So anyway, Curtis asked Kelvin, just asked him one final time if he's done. If he's done, and Kelvin gets really emotional, and he says yes. Y'all, this scene was so powerful to me. I was like, okay. This time, I didn't even have to cry. I was just like, because I haven't seen Kelvin in his face, like I said, when he got popped. So yeah. So then it's the next day. Malik showed up at Calvin's house so they can go work out, and this is where the episode ended. I really thought this episode was good, and I hope that y'all were able to get good nuggets out of that episode or just out of this review. Okay? All right. This is your girl, Kiwan, reminding you to keep showing up, keep growing, stay true to yourself. And I will see y'all in the next video when I drop Sisters. Bye.